Hello everybody. In this video we are going to learn about sedimentary structures. So learning about sedimentary structures is important for geologists because these features are very important and very useful because they provide strong evidence about conditions in the depositional environment. Okay? So these are the 5 sedimentary structures that we are going to discuss in this video: bedding and laminations, cross bedding, graded bedding, ripple marks, and mud cracks. All right, so this is an example of sedimentary bedding. These are just layers of sedimentary rocks, as you can see here. These are some nice layers of sedimentary rocks. Okay. All right, so these individual layers of sedimentary rocks, this is what we call as bedding, okay, or a bed of sedimentary layers. Now, those different layers of sedimentary rocks, they actually reflect changing conditions during deposition. So, for example, here at time 1, we have some deposition of fine-grained sediments, maybe through some normal flow of a river. Okay, and then after that, there could be some flood that bringing gravel or other types of coarse sediments. Okay, and then after the flood is gone, then we could have the normal flow of river again that bringing some fine grained sediments. Okay, so eventually the intercalation or the changing of that conditions could create at least 3 layers of sediments that consist of siltstone at the bottom from this time 1 here, and time 2 it will produce a conglomerate for time 2, and time 3 will produce siltstone again at the top. Okay, so this is time 1, this is time 2, and this is time 3. All right. For lamination, it's actually pretty much the same with bedding, but laminations are small scale features. Okay, so bedding can be meters or up to tens of meters, but laminations is typically under 5 centimeters thickness. The next one is called cross bedding, and cross bedding formed due to ripple and dune migrations. And here you can see here that these laminations or these beddings of rocks, of sedimentary rocks, they are crossing with each other, and that is the reason why we call it cross bedding. And this is also an example, a good example of cross stratifications of sedimentary rocks. Okay, so cross-bedding formed due to ripple and dune migrations. What's going to happen here is that these particles of grains, they're actually jumping around and they actually move towards this direction. Okay, and as it moves towards this direction, it falls off and got deposited right here, and eventually it goes and it moves towards these directions. Okay, so by understanding that the movement of grains during the depositions of sedimentary rocks that create cross-bedding, it could actually tells us about the current directions of either the water or the wind. Okay, so for example, here we have cross-bedding that goes like this. Okay, so that simply means that the ancient winds that creates these structures flow from this direction to that direction. Okay, so that is the cool thing about cross-bedding. We can actually figure out the ancient directions of any wind or water current that creates these structures. The next one is called graded bedding. Graded bedding has coarse sediments at the bottom. Okay, like this guy right here. These are coarse sediments at the bottom. that gradually become finer and finer as we go towards the top of the bed. Okay, and they typically consist of multiple of graded bedding. So for example, this is the first one, and this is the second one, and this is the third beddings that actually exhibits gradual changes in sediment sizes. Okay, now graded bedding, they actually this type of bedding form in turbidity current. So turbidity current happens when you have water turbulence. Typically happens in a deep marine environment, and when you have water turbulence from here, from the shelf region all the way to the deeper part of the basin here, you will create some sort of like a turbulence like this. And eventually what happened here is that the coarser grains will deposit it first at the bottom, and followed by the finer and finer, and the finest sediment will be sitting on top of everything. The next structure is called ripple marks. So this is a nice example of ripple marks that this is a modern day ripple marks that might be formed due to the oscillation of ocean waves, for example. This is the same feature. Okay, this is the same feature, but this feature right here is preserved within rocks. So whenever we see this type of features, we can actually know what type of environment that these rocks were deposited. Ripple marks are also useful indicators for flow directions. So for example, if you have asymmetric ripples, asymmetric ripples mean that the one side of the ripples is steeper than the other one. Okay, this indicates that the current direction goes from the gentle slope towards the steep slope. Okay, but whenever you have symmetric ripples, that actually indicates that we have some back and forth swash of water waves. Okay, so instead of going into one directions, the water goes back and forth, back and forth. Okay, so that's the importance of understanding ripples. We can actually figure out the directions of the current at the time these bed forms were formed. And the last one is mud cracks. Mud cracks indicate that we have some alternation between wet and dry land conditions. Okay, and these are very common features that we see in the summer, for example, right? And these features can also be preserved within rocks. And again, it indicates what conditions that happened in the past when these bed forms were formed. Okay, so those are some important sedimentary structures that I want you to get yourself familiar with. And again, if you do have questions, let me know, send me an email, and I'll see you again in the next one. Bye bye now.